What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another review for Old School Monday Night Raws. This one is from December 19th, 1994. I believe we have one more before the year ends and before I take another break. But Raw this week kicks off with Lex Luger versus IRS. If there was ever a match to put someone to sleep, this one for sure is it. We get some words from Vince and Sean on commentary, and then they cut to a guy with a sign that says, "I cheat on my taxes." Shout out to whoever that was if you're watching. It happened all of a sudden and it caught me off guard because while it's a funny sign to have during an IRS match, why would you admit that you do that? But obviously it was probably just a joke. So we get to the end of the match. Luger's leg gets grabbed by one of the Druids on the outside. So Luger, being the idiot that he is, he doesn't care about winning the match, so he goes to the outside and beats up the Druid. It is revealed that it's Tatanka under the hood, and while Luger keeps punching him, he gets counted out. I thought this storyline was over between Lex and the Million Dollar Man, but it looks like they're going to keep it going. Maybe leading into the Royal Rumble, somebody's going to get eliminated from either side. Luger eliminates all the $1 million stable, or the stable eliminates Lex Luger and costing him, the title shot at WrestleMania or whatever. Moving on, they show footage of the tag team tournament. Bam Bam Bigelow and Tatanka beat Men on a mission to advance to the next round. Then we see Jeff Jarrett back in Las Vegas. He runs into some guy named Rip Taylor, who is a popular performer in the Vegas area who has played many venues. At least according to them, he's popular because I don't know who this guy is. I'm not Googling him. You guys can do your own research there if you care to know. So Jarrett asks him for advice because he has an album coming out named Ain't I Great. This guy, Rip Taylor, is happy to help out Jeff Jarrett, and they leave together to go hang out. The Smoking Guns come out next to take on some jobbers, and they pick up a win. Still don't have a name for their tag team finishing move, so you gotta see it to really understand what it's about. Then, something that proves that they know the King's Court is awful. Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels talk over his monologue. Usually they just let him say all the corny jokes that he has to say, but this time Vince and the Heartbreak Kid are just talking while Jerry is in the ring cutting the monologue. Jerry then introduces his guest, Bob Backlund. The crowd chants 8 seconds. That was the amount of time that it took Diesel to beat him for the title. Mr. Backlund brings up Bret Hart returning and tells him that he'll be ready for him if he wants more of what he gave him at Survivor Series. He wants to be the face of the WWF and calls Diesel Kevin Nash. Sean asks Vince if he heard that and if he knows who that is. Becklin says something about a dinosaur and getting exterminated. Didn't really make much sense, but that's really the point of the whole gimmick that Bob Becklin is going with. I think we do see a rematch with Bret and Becklin down the line, but I don't know if he ever gets a title rematch against Diesel. Moving on, Bob Holly takes on Chris Kanyon in a squash match. Nice top rope elbow drop for the win for Mr. Bob Holly there. Then we get our first Royal Rumble report. Pamela Anderson gets announced to be appearing at the Rumble, and also Bret Hart will get his title shot versus Diesel. Todd Pettengill says that this could be the biggest title match ever. I think Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior was probably still the biggest title match in terms of hype. But yeah, before that, it was probably Hogan and Andre. And Flair vs. Savage could have been the biggest if they made it the main event of that year's WrestleMania. But yeah, Diesel, Bret Hart, I don't think they could really tout that as the biggest title match ever in the history of the WWF with Hogan Andre, Hogan Savage, Hogan. There's probably some other ones that there was probably a Hogan Piper match out there for the title. And speaking of main events, we get our main event for Monday Night Raw with Well Done accompanied by Harvey Whippleman taking on the Bushwhackers accompanied by Howard Finkel. Long story short, the Bushwhackers get the win and the Fink strips Harvey down to his underwear. Not really a good way to end the show, but that's what we got. Next we see Santa Claus being sat on by Bam Bam Bigelow. Santa's eyes looks like they're about to pop out of his head because of the weight, and he switches spots with Mabel. Because of how much time was left, I really thought that that tag match was going to be it. But nope, we get Jim Neidhart getting a win over a jobber before the show ends as well in another match with the Camel Clutch. Owen Hart doesn't come out with him this time. They end the show like they usually do, where it closes on Vince on commentary, and there was a lady leaning over the railing who for sure went backstage with Shawn Michaels after the show. But that's how the show ends. Let's give this a grade, shall we? This episode again just doesn't feel important. They announced the title match at the Rumble, but it's not anything that they won't mention again, you know what I mean? So they're going to keep on repeating this over and over again. It's not like this was news, really. Other than that, most of this was just on this show as a one off or something that won't really add to the understanding of a storyline or feud down the line. So I'm just going to give this a bad grade. Next week is the last episode of 1994. So while we still have a couple of years before the Attitude Era, at least I'm done with another one of these cartoon years, if you will, of the WWF. So with that being said, I'm out. I'll catch you guys on the next review, which is the last one for a while that I'll be doing. And yeah, I'm out.